Hello. So today, I wanted to talk about the progress I made thus far on the two lines I worked, or actually, sorry, three lines I've worked on for the Puget Sound region. That's right, we're already on to phase two. Go figure. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't resist. What we are looking at is your mom. That's that's fraud. The depiction of Cascadia Ultra High Speed Rail, that's the orange line here, because it's all tunnel. And of course you can see how it transfers into a viaduct. We have the pink one, because I fucked up, and I closed Google Earth before I could control Z back to having it. This is the Cascadia Ice Line, aka the Intercity Express line. For the thumbnail, I forked up, and I shut Google Earth down before I could Control Z out of it so that I could get it back to, it reverted back to where it was before without a combine. So now it's just permanently stuck as this pink line. But anyway, you have Cascadia into City Express in the pink. And then you have, of course, our three lines that I have thus far. Two metro lines and one regional rail line. So obviously, as you can see with the pink, being, again, the ice line, there is already good interconnectivity between these lines and the ice line. And obviously, I don't have a map to show me where the sounder goes, each of the sounder lines, or if there is even multiples. I thought there was only one, but it looks like, according to Google Maps, not Earth, but Maps, that there might actually be multiples. There's that, and then of course you have the expansion of the light rail system, and obviously you have the Sound Transit, and thus King and Pierce County transits, respectively, going and taking care of their transit in this part of the region here. But we're going to, yes, pretend that we know where those lines go. I know roughly where at least the main sounder line goes. So there you go. I'm being stupid. What I want is that. Get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably feature actually all three of these at the same time, I suppose. But I'm thinking what I'm going to do is actually just focus on one at a time. So we're going to start with just the regional rail rather than Sound Metro. And here's your regional rail line. Linus Kleiser. So this is what I, of course, called the East Ender because it's on the east edge and serves the east edge of the Sound region, the Sound Metro area. So it allows people via other lines to, of course, directly connect into this line, and then they just have a short transfer and a quick trip to, say, North Bend over here in the foothills of the Cascades. This is Arlington Station at the north end, and obviously there is a station somewhere in, I believe I did put one in Arlington, at least for the ice line. I cannot say for certain, I don't recall. I actually I know I did a north Everett, which probably means it's actually in Marysville, or in between Marysville and Arlington. And the next stop, ironically, along this line is actually right here at this road, which this area is Getchell over here to CDP, since it's a designated place. Kind of like Aloha, my hometown, here down here in Oregon. And then, of course, over here on the other side of the road, the highway, is Marysville. And then, of course, across the river is Everett. So it gives you two different options if you're in the Arlington or Marysville area where you want to go. And obviously anybody north of, like, say, Arlington, like the other two places, there's other twin cities up here. And obviously anybody over here in this town, an example, also has the ability to navigate to those stations. Along with the Lake Stevens station, which I believe was like right here, but it's not. It is here. Right, that makes sense because it gets you directly connected to Everett, bypass Snohomish to serve Monroe, which we have the station right here. So then we go to Duval, have a station there, and then as you saw, we skip the next town and end up in Snoqualmie. For the next station, I put it here for good measure. I mean, you have a resort and the falls here, so naturally there's going to be a lot of people that want to go there. There's a big working area over here, general employment, and then of course you have some decent density in these places, or at least that place. And of course, you have the main town over here. You have the resort as well in this vicinity. I believe actually that might be the casino. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, you have all that. And then you have all this down here. So it's a good little connectivity point before you get to, not North Bend. North Bend? It is North Bend, actually. Yes, it is. To North Bend Station. And then, of course, you go around and you weave through the pass here and eventually find your way down to Emniclaw. Yes, I know what this is. I don't know why. Earlier today, I didn't even do it in the video. I was like, why am I not remembering what this is? I know exactly what town this is. It's fucking Emniclaw. I'm just used to seeing it like way further out, like zoomed out like this. So then I immediately by default know, oh yeah, that's Emniclaw. So yeah, I was having issues with that and I was annoying myself. Anyway, Emniclaw station down here, of course. Buttered Horse. And then I decided, though they're close by, I'd throw in a Buckley station as well, because why not? So Buckley gets a station, a station, and then last but not least, we have this station here, and it's Prarie Heights in Prarie Ridge, for the record. And so right there, and of course, technically it's in the far southeastern edge and corner of Bonney Lake, so therefore that's why I called it Bonney Ridge, or sorry, Bonney Prarie, because that way you combine the two town, or CDPs technically, of Prarie Heights and Prarie Ridge together with Bonney Lake. Thus, of course, we get Bonney Prarie. And that is the East Ender, the regional line for one of the regional rail lines for the area. This line, by the way, is 92.2 miles in length in its current configuration. Obviously, you get, give or take, probably somewhere around 10 to 20 miles longer, or potentially upwards of 10 to 20 miles shorter, depending on engineering and how you actually decide to lay the route out, and like actual, like ultra specific, like again, engineering, geotechnical stuff, where you would lay the routing at. Obviously, I chose to do all viaduct because it's the cheapest, or I should say it's the most cost-effective overall. It's obviously a lot more expensive than just doing grade, so ground level. But viaduct is definitely the opt, because that way it's entirely grade separated, meaning you don't have to worry about any of the constant problems you have with like at-grade crossings and traffic and arrogant drivers or pedestrians trying to commit suicide or whatever else, which happens way more often than you would think. So therefore, that is why I opted for that. Plus, it gives you a slightly better view. And also, when you're going through towns and stuff, it at least gives some people some semblance of a little more privacy, because nobody can look necessarily directly into your, you know, your home or your apartment. So that's the idea there. And then, of course, eventually you get one tunnel here, because it's the only logical option. And then that's your line. Your Linus Claser. And again, I know there's going to be a lot of people that bitch about that and be like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that when it doesn't really connect to anything? When there's not really any population along a almost 100-mile long line? And it's pretty simple. It's because obviously, A, most of the rest of the world does this, and it's very viable, obviously. B, everyone equally needs transit access and service. Accessibility, connectivity, to be able to get to and from where they need and want to get to. And of course, third is the fact that, naturally, we have a bunch of connecting lines that are going to connect directly up to this transit line as well. So let's go with the southern end one down here. So, as you saw, and it says to them, yes, so here we go. Well, bam. Bonney Prarie Station is shared by the south end of the East Ender and the Bonney Lake Tacoma metro line that I have set up here. So it would start here in its east, or yeah, it's east end of the line. You'd have your next one. This is Bonney Lake. Sorry, I got my wires crossed. This is Bonney Lake proper, obviously, because this is all Bonney Lake up through here and down through here. Then it's Sumner Alderton here. And then this is obviously, therefore, Puyallup Alderton. I want to say Arlington. And then, of course, you have the Puyallup Fairgrounds here. I don't remember what county, or if it's the state fairgrounds. So I just called it the Puyallup Fairground, Puyallup/Fairgrounds, because why the hell not? Plus, it's pretty central to Puyallup. I mean, this is technically downtown, but its spread is all the way down here. So I mean, and quite a ways west actually. So why not? So there you go. Obviously, a lot of people are probably going to be using this line to get to the fair, especially considering I am stunned at like how much the fairgrounds hold in their events venue here. The amount of capacity this thing holds is insane. I had no idea. Like you look at this and you think max 10,000. No, apparently it holds quite literally, I think it was 20,000 people or like little over. It holds basically an NBA arena amount of people, which is insane. It doesn't look like it could possibly do that, but it does. And it actually, a lot of the concerts and comedies that come through here during the fair week genuinely sells out. So I mean, they get all like 19, 20, 21,000 people in there pretty much every single time. It's insane. So there's a lot of people genuinely that go there, including from out of state. Here we have the Puyallup South Hill Station. It's at the South Hill Mall, so I decided to call it South Hill Station. Pretty much everybody goes online. There's actually a TC here, so it actually makes even more sense to put it here, but I like the idea of having it here, just because then you can actually properly use this freaking empty-ass set of parking spaces, you know? So, but that's clearly a transit center right here. Anyway, so then you have your station there. And this is a good compromise just because it also puts you not to the parking lot and also closer to the transit center, but it also puts you at this intersection, which is close to the interchanges and everything. So again, it actually makes a lot of sense. And then at that point, there's even more open space and parking spaces for people to use as a parking ride. So there you go. Next station, of course, is going to be Summit Creek, which is right here. I think that's actually, yeah, it's a mix of Summit and whatever the other CDP's name is, something Creek, obviously. Then we have Pork Gland. Yep. That actually makes more sense anyway. So Parkland. The next one, of course, is over here at Lakewood. So, well, bam. Lakewood gets their own station. The Sounder station is right here. It's also the transit center, apparently, for Lakewood. Now I'm looking at it. Yup. So this is the Lakewood station. The next one on the Sounder line is South Tacoma, which is up here. So yeah, you got your Lakewood station, 74th and Tacoma Way, right here. This connects more of Lakewood and South Tacoma and everything, and obviously allows people better connectivity across the freeway over to these areas. So they're technically still sort of covered. So this means a straight shot walk too, if you want to. Wouldn't be the safest, but hey, welcome to America. America! We also have South Tacoma Station right here, and this one is actually very close to the South Tacoma Station for Sounder, which I swear it was like just south. I thought it was like, it's probably right here because of this empty parking lot, actually. It's probably the park and ride. Yeah, it is. This is the South Tacoma Station. Plus, for some reason with transit centers in the Northwest, they only ever use concrete. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's because it has something to do with like some odd form of durability for 40-foot buses and potentially 60-foot articulated. But anyway, just an observation of mine. We have Pine and Tacoma Way right here. So that still allows you to connect north-south up through all this. In fact, if you wanted to, you go all the way through here. And then all the way south again. So it does allow a lot of people connectivity throughout these regions. I'm going way too fast again, aren't I? These regions. And then past under the freeway. And then over here we have Tacoma at Tacoma. Not confusing at all because it's Tacoma Way at Tacoma Boulevard or Avenue. I think it's Tacoma Avenue. It's like Tacoma Way, Tacoma Avenue. This is Tacoma Way. Or actually, no, sorry. This is Tacoma Way. This is Jefferson. Right here in north, and it's something else over here because fucking course it is. It's the same road, different name for absolutely no fucking reason, as usual, because that's not confusing at all. So yes, you have a station there. Very nice. Very beautiful. Then we have a station right here at the University/Convention Center. And that is actually technically the entire Bonney Lake to Taco Town Metro line. So yeah, I would end right here at University Convention Center because obviously the University of Washington Tacoma is right here. Obviously, you have Union Station, right? I think it's right there, yeah. You have also the Link light rail lines that connect you, and bus lines, of course, that connect you down here to the Tacoma Dome, Taco Dome. And apparently, this turns out this is a classic car museum. I did not know that. So thank you to who commented that it was a classic car museum. I already forgot its name, but I wouldn't have really known because the last time I was at the Tacoma Dome complex was in 2006, and literally there was a parking lot right here still, and we parked like right in the middle. I remember having lunch there during a JW regional convention or whatever the big summer conventions are. I think it's considered a regional convention, but yeah. Yeah, it's a district convention. I don't fucking remember. Anyway, doesn't matter to me. Unimportant detail. Yes, so this would be the final station. Now, what you see from there on out is what I would consider an optional extension, or better use of it would probably actually be, in fact, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a light rail line, or at the very least, a grade separated light rail line that continues along a viaduct like this. I think would make, again, by far the most sense, because again, you always want to, especially with rail, avoid being at grade. It is the worst case scenario. And obviously a lot of the tourist stuff is down along the waterfront down here, along with all the other stuff. Therefore, it's Point Defiance. That's what it is. That's what that point is. Therefore, this is your option. So, optioned out, you have it to continue. And you could continue as a metro, but the thing is that it's 6.6 miles of line that you would have, I believe it's 7 stops on. So again, that makes it pretty much a light rail line because there is effectively a stop per mile. Or actually, stop per every, technically, like, average, what is that? Like, every 0.7 miles? Every 3/4 of a mile? So that's very, very light rail-esque, which is, again, all the more reason why, as a metro, this would slow it down so much, and it just wouldn't make that much sense. So, therefore, this really is just an option that you could extend it as that, or you could just have it connected up and it be a grade separated viaducted light rail line. Once again, that connects the rest of it, and therefore it would connect you up to the next one, which is Tacoma Central, of course. I figured I'd call that. The next one, of course, the Stadium Station, because of the stadium here in Stadium High School, which is a really cool historic school. It's very Hogwarts-esque. I mean, look at this little icon too, iconography. It is so Hogwarts-esque. It might have been like a Scottish leadership, a person with leadership and a lot of money in the Hudson Bay Company that conscripted the building of this high school. And same with therefore the stadium, because these are both very like Scottish Highlands-esque, I feel like. It's really, really cool though. Cool. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Also, the stadium is fucking rad. But yes, so the next station would be Old Town, because it's the Old Town district, or the original, I guess, city center of Taco Town. The next would be over here at Puget Creek. Calling it Puget Creek because it's the most logical option, because I couldn't find a district name or anything nearby, and this is Puget Creek, not natural area, but something similar to that. Basically a nature park. So, Puget Creek, as it were. And then the next station is Point Rostin, which is, of course, right here. I put it... actually, no, I put it right here, apparently. I thought I put it over the roundabout, but apparently I did not put it over the roundabouts. So the Point Rufus, we'll call it, instead of Rustin, because fuck you, that's why. And then Pork and 51st over here, Wabamski, which allows people to the south, of course, in this region to be able to connect up. If you're coming from this area of the park here, of Point Defiance and everything, you could walk your way through here as well. I think there's a path down to here to these, or a small road, I think it is what it is. Yeah, that just leads you to the other parts of the park, but also I think technically, no, it is just walking paths people carved out. They connect you guys up to like these guys along the coastline, which again makes a lot of sense, so that if you live on the coast here, you don't have to worry. You can literally just take a rather short walk through a beautiful, beautiful park if you want to, and then walk through to here. But again, it's very short distance for most of these. It's relatively short, maybe a mile at most to the station. Loop around. There's like a science and tech institute, I think, in here somewhere. I think it's actually like right here. And then oh, you know, this is a fort Nisqually. And then of course you have bunch of other stuff like the beaches and the sneeches. Nature, it's all very nice here on Point Defiance. And then, of course, you have the, like I said, the zoo. You have a rose garden. You have a whole bunch of stupid shit like that. You have more tourists and ritzy, expensive fucking restaurants and shit here. You have, obviously, one of the ferries stops here. Your marina, everything else. Because you also have a station right here, which gets you right there into the zoo and everything like that. The parts of the more like cityified parts of the park, and then whatever they develop in these areas, hopefully more mixed use density, gets to be built around the tracks, and then you have your station here again. So it comes and loops back around on itself, and wabam, you're back here, and that would be the optional extension to Point Defiance, Wabamski. We have the third and final Venus Glazer, the second metro line so far, and that is the North Bend Seattle line. So obviously, North Bend is on the regional rail East Ender line, so therefore you're not going to actually see it listed in this, but there's your station right there. It was actually very difficult for me. I took probably good 30, 45 minutes to really decide where in North Bend I would put that station. I decided I'll put it there. Anyway, the next one, of course, is in Snoqualmie, except it's West Snoqualmie this time. So Snoqualmie basically has a station here, and they have a station down here. So, I mean, take your pick. You can walk to it easily. You could drive to it with a real short period, or take an Uber, or whatever else. Then you have the next station, which is here, which is, what is it again? Preston. You have a station in Preston right here. I decided to put it. I hemmed and hawed about 10 minutes over Preston's location. I opted for here because there's a trailer park down here and some other stuff in this area and vicinity. Next up, we have, I didn't put anyone anywhere until here, which is, of course, East Issaquah. Issaquah. I think it's Issaquah, but... And then, I obviously, again, I took a long time to hem and haw. Where the fuck am I going to put a or two stations in Issaquah? And I put it, instead of putting it dead center right here, I thought, I'll put one over here so that all of this extra development that they're doing over in this vicinity have a more direct connection. Anybody up through these areas, of course, because again, I just got lost in the road networks up here and the weird connectivity they have. Doesn't really make any sense in the shaping, but sure. So then that way they have a direct connection instead, and nobody has to just funnel through one choke point or bottleneck like that. And the next one, of course, is over here in West Issaquah. So why not? And then you have these paths that are like kind of built in over through and along these areas, whether there's Microsoft Hub and stuff like that. And then you have a path right here. So naturally, you could so easily directly connect up to this pathing. And then you have, on both sides of the road, you have your ability to get to and fro. So that's why I chose this location as well. Plus, it's in the center median. And as you can tell, by the way, the yellow is here, which means it's at grade in the median. Oh, no, it's right here. Okay. So South Lake Sammamish, sorry, right here. Because, again, you got your connectivity through this road, down through these areas and these vicinities. So naturally, all of this area has a better direct connection here. And again, you're avoiding choke points and bottlenecks. So, of course, the next one is right here. Under this freeway, I think there's paths, at least a path, yeah, right here. That's built in, that goes along here. So, again, you have an easy direct connection up to these this pathway. Ignoring this, I'm not exactly sure what these, I call express lanes, I can't remember. Anyway, ignoring that those exist, or they're like HOV lanes, and pretending that they're not a thing and they will never be a thing, ridding them. Well, bam, you have a next one over here, which is Eastgate. That's what I called it, because it's the district. You have a lot of hub development and like increasing density and densification of the region, so... And then we got Mercenary Island of Horse. And I decided to just put one over here. Took a little while to think about putting one here and then one over here, but I just decided to go with the singular one. So Mercenary Island in the center, in the main hub. And it's also alongside the Link Light Rail Station. In fact, it's actually technically placed under it. As you can see, the orange line means tunnel. So... Go through there. We have our next one also sharing this station, at least partially, over here, which is Newport South Bellevue. So Wabamski, put it there. It's curving north, and decided instead of going all the way around and then just doing this and trying to come into this station, which I think a lot of people would prefer. I already know the Link Light Rail pretty much does that, just about. I know that, again, you have Sounder that does that, so why would I do that? Extra redundancy? Sure, but there's no reason to continue to do that. So, we go northbound to... Actually, sorry, Newport South Bellevue. My bad. We go to, that was Judkins Park Atlantic. Down here is this one. Then we go to First Hill, which is up here. Wabamski. I just decided to call it that because it's the district name. It's pretty central. And I could have called it Medical District. I don't fucking know. Or just like Center Med, because Jesus Christ, is there just a fuck ton of medical institutes in this area. This is a Swedish medical institute. This is a Swedish medical institute up here. And then you have this other big medical institute down here, and University of Seattle medical stuff too. It's wild how it's just like nothing but high-rise medical institutions and buildings. Really fucking weird. So that's actually kind of a perfect place for that. In fact, you could put a full-on transit center in there if you wanted to. With the added metro line, why not, right? So there you pop Vault Station, and then last but not least, you have the Boren Denny Station, which are the two main roads. This is Denny, if I believe correctly, if I recall correctly, and I think this is Boren. But yeah, so or that's Boren. I don't fucking remember. Anyway, one of these is Boren, one of these is Denny. So there you go. And then this is Virginia. I remember that. So Virginia. So that is your last station. I really wanted to go to outside of the 67 World's Fair district, the Space Needle and Key Arena. I really want to go to Key Arena. I know it's technically not called Key Arena, but it'll always be Key Arena to me. Just like it's always the Rose Garden, RRG. It'll never be what it's branded as. Fuck you if you don't approve of it. I wanted to pull it out here, at least to here, or tunnel it, maybe eventually over so that I could go like directly either in the center or like right out here. But the problem is you have the goddamn monorail in the way. So you'd have to tunnel instead the entire time. So you'd just be continuing the tunnel from basically the Bellevue region over here all the way into downtown Seattle and the north downtown Seattle, South Lake Union area to this old World's Fair district. And that is a really fucking long tunnel. So that's not really all that intelligent or viable, especially if you spend the money to do what I did with Cascadia High Speed Rail, which is actually tunnel under most of this whole region. In fact, I think I had to do the same thing with ice. So I don't know why you would spend the extra money to do another fucking tunnel, because that's that many more potential billions of dollars, probably, actually not probably, definitely billions of tens of billions probably extra just to do that. And that just seems really stupid when you could just viaduct it close and then rely on all the different bus lines and stuff and the monorail to get people there in the first place, and potential future Link Light Rail actually too. So thus why I stopped it here, and that is the 13 stop 30 mile long North Bend to Seattle metro line. Those are your two current connections via the new the slow building phase 2 of a regional rail / metro system for the Sound region. Wabam right here in the center, and Wabam right here in the south. And then of course you have the line up here, boom. And so you have either quick walking, biking, drive, or busing connections directly to other stations if they're not directly connected to them along, again, as I showed in the beginning of the last video, the California high-speed rail line stations, and of course the, more specifically in this case, it's actually more the Cascadia ICE, so Intercity Express line, because there is a station in this vicinity and in this area. I believe it's right here. Yeah, so it's in Marysville, which I called North Everett Station. So it's a pretty quick drive or bus ride or whatever else right down here to it. In fact, it's not even that bad from downtown Arlington over here. Technically, downtown's up here. But if you go from here in Arlington down and walk your way down to the station, it's honestly not that bad. So there you go. Yeah. So you have multiple connections that way. And of course, again, you have Cascade also high-speed rail as an option in the region. And so considering that along with Sounder existing and continually getting funding, and in fact, by this point, it would probably promote even more connectivity and ridership and use of Sounder reliably, and thus encourage them to potentially get more fun, or they have more funds, and so potentially encourage them to actually extend and expand service, right? The Sounder service, so frequency and potentially add new lines eventually, but mainly frequency and capacity. That would allow you to be able to make even better connections their region. So this is what it's looking like so far if we're getting on like actually relatively frequent stop stations. And eventually, obviously, there will be more metro lines, regional rail lines for this this region. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And also feel free to let me know your ideas, whether they are for this, like how you would alter them, or how you would actually change maybe station locations or whatever else. Or if you actually have your own ideas for where you'd like certain lines to go. Also, be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on the extension option to Point Defiance to connect up the rest of Taco Town up through the north edge. And also, that's not just there for residents, but that's also connecting up, of course, a lot of people who are visiting, so tourists, basically, even if they're out-of-state tourists or they're out-of-nation tourists to the region. Let me know what you think about that and how you would do it, if you would actually just continue it as a metro line anyway, despite the fact it would majorly slow it down, or if you would just continue it as a light rail line, whether it's viaducted or as a traditional street running one, you name it. Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, stay safe out there, stay fluffy, and I hope to see you wherever you might be. And that's not what I meant to say, but that works, I guess. Yeah, anyway, no, I meant to say, I hope to see you whatever my next video might be. That's what I meant to say. Until then, bye-bye.